easier, we are continuing our author read aloud of Xavie of Shamain. We are diving into part 9, covering chapters 12 and 13. If you're new here and want to stay updated on my writing journey, consider joining my newsletter, the Boreas Brief, at the link in the description. Last time, Yalonde and Xavie returned to Shamain. This time, let's see if Yalonde and Eris can mend their friendship. Here is part 9. Chapter 12. Medical facilities at the highest technological standard compared to the wider region in the galaxy are available on Boreas, but not obviously so. Most Boreans elect to not use these for everyday accidents and illnesses. For these, the low-tech healers and tribal knowledge to support the natural healing process are preferred. The high-tech installations are typically used for corrections that are non-urgent and very sparingly at that. In every major settlement or local hub, decentralized, fully automated emergency medical pods are available to all. These typically are only utilized in case of severe injuries or accidents and only if the patient elects to do so. Notwithstanding the apparent scaling back of medical care, the life expectancy on Boreas is at a near all-time high, especially when compared to the high-technology area in the Third Epoch. Other medical or evolutionary changes in the recent populace are an infertility of first-generation mixed-race offspring. This observation is not limited to a heightened probability. No, it is an absolute and universal rule. An interracial couple can produce offspring, but these offspring can't procreate. So far, no explanation has been found, and no exception. Youngster mortality and birth mortality are remarkably low at this time. While these observations seem counterintuitive, they are irrefutable. All are not a localized event, but are very homogeneous over all of Boreas, irrespective of the tribe, race, region, or time of year. Boreaspedia, 22nd edition. 11th April 07, 5th Epoch. Yalonde. Today is the day. Today is the day Eris will start her family. One of the women in the house of the newborn just left, informing me Eris is in labor. Ever since our conversation in the garden, we have grown close again. She is the closest to an aunt Xavie has. Here we are, a bit ahead of schedule, and Eris is about to welcome her first youngster. She decided to call it Evan, if male, or Evanor, if female. She hopes it's a young female. I hope the birth is uneventful and that it's a female also. I let the others know I'll be in the house of the newborn. They will take care of Xavie should there be a need. Then I make my way over. As I arrive, there are far more people nearby than usual. What is going on? I ask Serena. I have a worried feeling about this birth. Everything looks all right. Nothing is out of the ordinary. It is just a feeling I have, and that I can't shake. Serena answers with a heavy sigh. I look at her. Serena does not act on feelings unless it makes her uneasy. And Serena being uneasy during a birth is not good. Let's hope she errs on the side of caution. I shake it off before I enter the room. How are you doing? I ask Eris. She's sweat-soaked, her hair all over the place, a mess. She's clearly beyond caring about her appearance. She's tired, dark shadows under her eyes. What you'd expect at this time. I want to go home. I had enough, she defeatedly mumbles. I tried that. It did not work for me either. I turn to the midwife. How are we, Magalia? Magalia, quiet and collected as always, keeping a clear head and watching everything, considers briefly. Should be another hour perhaps. The young is in breech position. It's not ideal, but also no cause for alarm. I stay with Eris, telling her Magalia was my midwife too. I took her through it, let her vent and scream at me, and frustrate her by just grinning at her. Finally, she gives birth to a healthy female young, Evanor. Within minutes after birth, I know something is not right. Eris is too quiet, soaked in cold sweat, not only from the labor. Her skin is ghostly white, translucent, and her breathing is flat and fast. Magalia, what is going on? Magalia turns her attention from the female young back to Eris, and all the color leaves her face. Slowly she looks at me. Our eyes meet. A subtle shake of her head is all it takes. Let her hold Evanor, I say quietly. Magalia turns back to the group, fussing over the young. She takes Evanor and walks over to Eris, laying her on her chest. The room goes quiet. I got you. Do you hear? I got you. I tell Eris, pinning her, locking eyes so she knows I mean it. Eris barely manages to lift one arm to cradle her female young. Evanor. Red hair, she manages, barely a whisper. Then her hand drops. It is silent in the room. I take Evanor, bundle her in a blanket, and hold her tightly to my chest. Slowly, I walk out into the hallway. The chatter dies away. We have a female young, Evanor. Apparently, it's obvious this is not all. It is now eerily quiet in the hallway, and we are in need of a wet nurse. I manage to say before the tears start to flow. The sages take over, organizing and sorting things out. It's all a blur to me. After all this time fighting with my best friend and finally coming back together, her life stream only starting to be fulfilled, it feels wrong to just lose her again, irrevocably. But I gained Evanor. She's technically not even my blood. I considered Eris my sister, though, and I think that makes Evanor my niece of sorts. We need to document the relationship between you and Evanor. I take it you'll take care of her? Serena interrupts my thoughts as they spin out of control. Yes, I'll take care of her. You know what? Screw figuring out the relationship. Can I adopt her as my daughter? It becomes quiet in the room. I hadn't noticed that elders are here too. Looks like this created some headaches after all. A giggle escapes me. Looks like Eris managed to make things difficult one final time. Are you certain? This has consequences, and you and Eris had your differences lately. Serena cautions. I glare at her with a withering look. You are certain. Got it. We'll make it happen. She hurriedly concedes. The birth is registered. The update to Evanor's status is documented. A vet nurse is found. So much for family planning. I have the choice to move back to the house of birth and departure, but the accommodations would be crammed, as it's not only Xavie, Evanor and me in a room, but also the vet nurse, Yalonde, and her son, Malay. Same for the house of the newborn that typically houses only mothers and their newborns. The other option is for us all to move into a bigger room in the house of the young, where there are rooms available capable of housing 5-6 people easily. After discussing with Yalonde, we decide to go for the larger room and the inconvenience of having to cover the distance to the house of the newborn. After we convey our decision, it takes a matter of a couple hours, and all our belongings are moved into the freshly cleaned, rearranged and prepared room. Everyone comes together to make it happen. Yalonde and I are the only two not involved, it seems. Sometimes the support, the drive to look after each other, the willingness to set aside one's own ego to help someone else still catches me by surprise, humbles me. Sure, I should be used to it, having grown up in this tribe, this mindset. It does not mean I can't marvel at it, value it, appreciate it, right? Xavie is very quiet for a few days. Not uncharacteristically quiet, though. I explain as best as I can to him that Evanor is now his little sister. Under normal circumstances, there is some time with changes to the mother that allow older siblings to be prepared for this change. Xavie did not have this, and he is about 4.5 years old. Of course, this makes an impression. His way of staying quiet, staying reserved, and observing is on full display. I'm used to it, and it takes a lot of convincing for Yalonde to be at least indifferent to it as well. Weeks turn into months, Xavie growing into his role of an older brother. His overall demeanor changes to a more serious, a more responsible, a more caretaking personality. It is astonishing and humbling to watch him grow, develop, and adapt to this new reality. Yalonde and I get all the support we could ever want from everyone, in the house of the newborn and the house of the young. Xavie blooms into the role of a serious and responsible older brother to Evanor. He insists on joining the Aurora Dansu bow and staff classes around age 5.5. This is way earlier than usual. He stubbornly insists because he needs to protect Evanor. He looks out for Evanor and does everything in his own style. This usually entails taking it much more seriously than youngsters of the same age, or not engaging in certain activities at all. He is far ahead of youngsters the same age in Aurora Dansu with the bow and with the staff. He is far ahead of youngsters the same age in Aurora Dansu with the bow and with the staff. He is allowed to attend instructions on the handling of karambits nearly 2 years ahead of time. Evanor, on the other hand, has Xavie as an example and idol to follow. To my relief, she develops according to the plans the sages have. She understands relatively early that Xavie does things differently from most others, that Xavie has his own way. She finds her way by considering what Xavie would have done. Everything all the time has to live up to this comparison. Safe to say, the expectations she sets, especially for herself, are challenging sometimes. Fine, most of the time. She is perhaps a bit prudier than most youngsters her age, but some influence of Xavie's is to be expected. By age 4, I can finally let go of my concerns and accept that Evanor has her own way about her, but nothing that needs an intervention as Xavie needed. This realization, this step, is immensely freeing. On the other hand, it can be very exhausting taking care of 2 youngsters who both push themselves relentlessly to extraordinary levels. It is also incredibly rewarding to observe these 2 develop, to reach for and achieve remarkable proficiency. I made a decision from the beginning to be upfront with Evanor and Xavie should the topic come up. I will not pretend Evanor is my biological young. I want to do right by Eris and be honest and straight about it. This in no way means I don't love her like she is mine. She is mine in every way but the one that she did not grow in my womb. I also made the decision to tell them both should the topic not be addressed before a point in time. I set this point to the Fire Festival in Xavie's 18th year. While these 2 grow and become more self-sufficient step by step, I'm using my time to contribute as much as I can to the tribe. There's always something to do. I might not have any of the trade educations, but this does not mean I can't help. I help with the gathering of wild herbs, medicinal plants, and caterpillars of the Shamain clipper, a butterfly out in the prairies, or with herding and caring for the sheep flocks. I dislike hunting for rabbits or birds, so I avoid these if I can. My favorite is helping out in the wood shops where they build the closed, horse-drawn traveling shaman wagons and carriages for the postal express. Now these make me yearn for traveling, both the traveling I did for the pilgrimage and the traveling I planned to do. Shamain is known for the shaman wagons. While most roaming shamans come from the wider region, nearly every wagon is built in Shamain. Chapter 13. The Borean Wheel of the Year has 8 festivals that are observed by most of the population. These can be divided into 2 groups. One group of 4 is based on the sun, the other 4 on the moons. The sun-based festivals are the Yule festival on the winter solstice around December 21st, Esther festival on the vernal equinox around March 20th, the summer solstice festival around June 21st, and the harvest festival on the autumn equinox around September 22nd. The moon-based festivals are the dark moon festival on the dark moon closest to the midpoint between the harvest and the Yule festivals. The new beginning festival during the waxing moon closest to the midpoint between the Yule and Esther festivals. The fire festival on the full moon closest to the midpoint between the Esther and summer solstice festivals. And the Lunasa festival on the waning moon closest to the midpoint between the summer solstice and harvest festivals. Religion is not prescribed on Boreas. Religious groupings form and develop from time to time and will have different customs. Depending on the tribe's customs, different festivals are more of a focus, and not all festivals are celebrated the same everywhere, but rather are regionally and culturally adapted. Boreaspedia, 25th edition. 11th April 21. 5th epoch. Yalonde. Today is Evanor's 14th birthday. Not that we're celebrating. It is her choice to not celebrate her birthdays. I think this year is somewhat difficult for Evanor, as she struggles with Xavie being at an age when he might start exploring his sexuality. As is custom, sex education is interwoven and present in the education of the youngsters from an early age. She understands what it means, but also she does not yet comprehend the full scope and impact. The one thing she understands is that she might need to share her Xavie, which she is not willing to do. She has developed into a quiet, obviously headstrong person. Her straight hair has settled for a blonde with a very apparent reddish hue. Blonde hair is rare in our tribe, in all our neighboring tribes, in the region, in Easterners. Reddish hair is unheard of, as are her startling green eyes. Of course, her hair is a constant target to be picked on, and for some reason today has been a really bad day. She takes it very seriously. As Evanor and Xavie emerge out of the bathroom in the house we have been living in for the past 4 years or so, since we moved out of the House of the Young, I do a double take. Now that is a statement. Is this henna? Evanor nods. I've had it today. The guys were being stupid more than usual, and it being my birthday had me on edge. We went to some of the older women to ask how to dye my hair. They meant it as a joke, but screw them too. I see. I hope you understand that you won't wash out henna easily. It will be like this, and if you did not know, you do now. I fold my arms and look at her. I know, Mom. This is so typical Evanor. She takes a suggestion, makes it her own, and then owns it. If she has no chance but to stand out because of her genetics, she might as well do it proudly and go all the way. It is so typically her to answer with an in-your-face reaction and call out all the blustering. It's also the way she hides her insecurities and masks her doubts. She certainly does it to force herself to commit and display the spine to carry it. I look at Xavie and raise an eyebrow. He just shrugs. Of course he helped her and made sure to understand the process of dyeing hair with henna. Evanor pouts. But what I don't understand is how my hair is so reddish blonde and my eyes are a green. Nobody else has these colors, certainly not you or Xavie. And so we have the talk. The talk about Eris, about her being my daughter and also being Eris' biological daughter. No, I don't know who the father is. She is a festival youngster. No, Xavie and Evanor are not biological siblings, although there is a minuscule chance of sharing a father, seeing as both are festival youngsters and both have unconventional eye colors. We discuss why I'm telling them, why I'm telling it now, why I did not tell earlier. We talk about Eris a lot. I miss her even now, after all this time, all these years. I bring out the few things I have from Eris' belongings. We talk for a couple hours. Evanor is curious. Xavie listens quietly like he usually does. He surprises me in that he remembers a few details. At the end, Evanor is quiet. She needs to digest. She will ask for more details once she's ready. She always does. It is Xavie who does not allow her to retreat into her room, makes sure to get her out of the house. They're probably doing some Aurora Dansu or staff work, getting her physically moving and exhausted. A couple days later, once Evanor has had some time to digest, she follows up by asking about my decision to tell her and when. And when I made this decision. She appreciates that I made the decision early on and that I waited for the right moment, while also having a point in time in mind by when it needed to be communicated. Then she surprises me by asking about the disagreement I had with Eris. I hadn't dwelt on that, so she must have been talking with someone else. I decide not to hold back or mince words. I tell her how the rift came about, me being pregnant with Xavie and how Eris thought this would change her plans. I tell her about how we mended our relationship and moved beyond it. That by the time Eris was pregnant with her, we were all good. She asks about how Eris died, and I tell her. It is the first time in all this time I'm going back to that day, recounting it in all detail. I like to think Eris would have wanted Evanor to know, and so I tell her. Suffice it to say, the rest of the day is very emotional. Evanor appreciates candor, even if what she hears is not easy to absorb. I'm proud of her. She is behaving very maturely for a 14-year-old. With the youngsters getting old enough, it is time for me to start contributing in a more complete way again. After several discussions and consultations with the elders, I settle on the trade of postmaster. I guess I have to catch up to my learning schedule for the postmaster test in the coming days. The test is the second day after the summer solstice festival, and I have been learning for about a year now. As unrestricted postmaster, I will be traveling Boreas. As a regional postmaster, which is the step before unrestricted, I'll be traveling in the region and am going to be home every other day. Perfect for allowing the youngsters to mature and become self-reliant while still not being away fully. As is custom for postmasters, they are a source of news, a source of information. They are the eyes and ears in the world. They see many things, hear many things, and are trusted when pointing out irregularities. This is where I see me contributing, identifying the irregularities, communicating early when something is off balance. The postmasters are trusted with helping to find information or advice beyond the typical about 1 day's circle around a village, a tribe. This is my opportunity to learn more than what is local to my tribe, to help make a difference, to effect a change to a more harmonious coexistence with nature, within the tribes, and within all that is Boreas. One minute change or piece of information add a time. And that brings us to the end of this reading. It sure sounds like Yalonde's life is coming together and she found a way to fulfill her passion and calling. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. If you want to explore more of this world, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter, The Boreas Brief, at the link in the description. It's where I share all my secret projects and early updates first. Next time, in part 10, we'll see what comes next in the Shamainian tribe. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, or click the playlist right here to catch up on any episodes you've missed.